Okay. Right there? No, closer. Yeah, like that. Alright, I'm gonna move the cards up in a second, get them closer. I don't even feel like you guys need to read these cards because I've shown them like 1,000 times on my channel. But if you guys need it to be closer to read it because you don't want to look it up, that's fine. Let's get a little bit closer. Alright, cool. Alright, so a lot to discuss, you guys, before I go to bed. Background noise of the fan. So yeah, you guys, today I went undefeated with my Herald Perfections. I innovated them again, literally like 10 hours or less after I put my profile. I changed it again. You guys know how I am with this deck. It never stays the same. I'm always changing it and rearranging it. Every time I upload it, it's different. Like I'm always updating this deck because I can't get it to stay the same. That's how you know a deck's really good, when it's not like a standard Salaman Great list that's never going to change and it's going to be like a card for card list. Like this deck can be played literally, what are we at, 158 or 159? There's almost 160 different ways that I've came up with by myself to play, on how to play this deck. And there's probably limitless possibilities, and this deck's potential is really good. Anyone who thinks this deck is bad actually doesn't even play the deck. They've never played it. They've never played with it. Probably never even played against it because people hate playing against this deck. This is by far one of the most annoying matchups you can ever have because it doesn't let any deck play. And so what I did was I knew my weaknesses, I knew what my bad matchups were, and I put countermeasures in my main deck and my side deck for that. Also keep in mind, even though I just put a list up 2 days ago, this list is way different from the other one, the main deck and the side deck. So what I did was I wanted to test the waters with this list before I took it to any 10-year events. So I figured, why not? Everybody at my locals acts like it's a YCS. They take it very seriously. They play, their best stuff. And so I took Herald of Perfection, Smokescreen into Sky Striker. So that was my game plan, was going game 2 and 3, I would Smokescreen into a Mystic Mind Sky Striker engine. 15 cards going from my side deck into my main, and I would hardcore go second. Nobody wants to let this deck go first, and the thing is, people think that you're going to hard draw one of the 3 Dark Ruler No Mores guaranteed 100% of the time. That's not true. So a lot of people just prefer to let this deck go second. Why? Because everyone says Herald sucks going second. They all say it's bad going second. Everyone says it, and I'm like, dude, how are you guys going to tell me when I've been playing this deck for 10 years? I know it's good going second. I won only 1 dice roll today, and it was against a going second deck. I have the live duel for that. Other than that, I went second all day anyways, and I still 2-0'd every person I played. I 2-0'd BA, the little BA Orcust, whatever you want to call the Burning Abyss deck. It was like a BA, it was like a cool deck. He set up a crazy board. He had like Guard Dragon stuff in it. So he went like Miko, the World Chalice chick, and like did a whole bunch of crazy stuff. And he put up like a pretty decent board. It was 3 negates, but I broke his entire board without using my side deck. That was game 1. Game 2, I sideboarded into my Sky Striker Mystic Mind, open double mind. One got negated, the other one didn't. And then people underestimate the power of Mystic Mind Herald too. Herald, when you have an established Herald of Perfection with the Mystic Mind up on the field, it's really problematic. Like, they can't use Twin or anything. They have to convert all their monsters to control the same amount that you do, just so they can wait until the end phase for this to die, which means they sacrifice another turn. This deck has crazy draw power. You could search another mind if you want, but you end up just OTKing them anyways. This list is very aggressive. It can OTK out of nowhere. In fact, whenever I wanted to OTK, I was able to. There's never a situation where I didn't have the cards to do so. So I just love that whenever I wanted to, I could just kill my opponent of my own volition. I didn't have to wait to draw certain cards. And I could play the slow grind game as well. This is the ultimate control deck. This is the epitome of what control is supposed to be. It's not supposed to let your opponent play, and this deck does that exceptionally. My standard board is Deco, Talker, Herald, Christia. I opened that whenever I went first. The only time I didn't open it was one of the doors where I just had Gale Dogger Herald, but I had 6 fairies, so he couldn't play Yu-Gi-Oh! Anyways. Yeah, the deck's really insane going first. It's very good going second, contrary to what people say. Like I said, if you think it's bad going second, you just don't know how to play the deck, or you don't play it at all. Because most people think decks are bad that they've never played, so how would you know until you play it? But yeah, I'm going to hop into my list, you guys. We played 2 different decks. That main deck, Dark Ruler No More, Hardcore going second, Dino, and then the going second, Sky Striker ABCs. And then we played also the Burning Abyss Orcus thing, and then we played Lunalight Orcus, which was also very interesting. Like that someone was playing Lunalight Orcus. I respect it, and it's a really strong deck. Like, it's pretty crazy. It's really, really strong, in fact. I wouldn't underestimate it. And then Pure Thunder, which the smoke screen, that's the word, that's what I'm looking for. The smoke screening into the Mystic Minds and Widow Anchors and all that, that's what really helped me out a lot. But yeah, this list is pretty good. I like it a lot. I know that I'm rambling, but I'm just giving you guys insight before I hop into my list. And shout outs to my subscriber and also now my good friend Septon. He made these field centers for me for both my spirit animals, my Zephyrath, and also my Herald. So I take these with me everywhere I go now. On the back side, I've got Electromite because he's a goat, and I've got some more of my baby Zephyros. So yeah, I love these field centers. I have 4 field centers in one. So let's go ahead and get into the profile because we've got a lot to go over, and you guys are going to learn a lot more from this profile. Well, I'm pretty sure, I feel like you guys learned a lot from every Herald profile, but this one's going to be really different. And this one is extremely competitive. Like, I have zero doubt in my mind. Like, I'm very confident in this list. So we're going to start off with the main, of course, the man, the myth, the legend. We played 3 copies of Herald of Perfection. Look on my mat. This is how much I love the card. We are... Alright, cool. That's how much I love Herald. Like, look at my mat. It's like, dude, this... Live and breathe and die by this card. Like, this is my favorite boss monster. It's my favorite Yu-Gi-Oh card. It's my favorite deck. I've loved it even when it was bad, when we were playing Sonic Birds and Senjus and Manjus and Advanced Ritual Arts. Back in the day when we played it and we had Hyperion and Venus and Shine Balls, I was doing all that, bro. But this deck has went through evolution after evolution after evolution. And the 158 variations that you guys see, those are just since I've had a YouTube channel. I've went through different builds of this deck before I ever became a YouTuber. So you guys can understand, I have hundreds of builds for Herald that I've done. We have 3 copies of Princess Katana. This is also pretty much the card you want to be tributing off to summon Herald. The deck's really consistent to getting to combo pieces that you need. In fact, everything in the deck is basically Herald, Benton, down to the Herald, and then everything else that either draws into it or searches into it. That's the entire deck. It's either draw cards or search cards. So everything that's not your blue cards and your ritual spell is all drawers to searchers. Except for one card I play at 3 that's meant to assist me going second and breaking boards and also stop every hand trap that they would throw at me. So we have 3 copies of Galdagra. It's the God card. It's still pretty much an FTK. There was never a duel that I opened Galdagra that I didn't drop Herald, Decode Talker, and Archlord. Herald, Decode Talker, and Archlord Christia. It's pretty much my ultimate board for everything, even if they're playing Dracos, because you can tribute the trap one time for your normal summon and you can pop, and I can just chain Decode to tribute the Christia, put it on top of my deck, and then negate. And then you can't get an additional normal summon without activating something, which means I can negate after that. So yeah, it's really good against Dracos too. So it's like my favorite board. It's the most universal, generically applicable. Galdagra pretty much guarantees that it happens. If you don't open enough extenders, you just go into Nightmare Phoenix, and you have Nightmare Phoenix, Herald Christia. But Herald Christia comes out 80% of the time. 100% of the time I summon Herald. I haven't had games where I couldn't summon him. I always have the pieces. So unless they just hand trap me to Oblivion into another universe, I was able to summon him. But opening Galdagra and him resolving is just like ridiculously insane, you guys. So next up, we play 3 of my helping hands, Handy Manny. He's a weaker normal summon than Gale, but he is a fairy and he's a level 4, which helps my game plan going second. Because I did Exciton Knight going second. I felt Exciton Knight was really good paired with one of the newer cards that I'm playing. Well, it's not new because I've played it in the past. You guys will see when we get to Spelled. I played it multiple variations of Heralds, but I always end up going back to it whenever I feel like I need something in the form of Call by the Grave. I pick it over Called. And then next up we have 3 copies of Star Seraph Scepter. Scepter is insane, you guys. The card's not once per turn. We also have 3 copies of Sovereignty. I loop Scepters multiple times a turn with Ritual Sanctuary. So I'll normal one, do my stick chair combo. And then just to get the extra fairy to hand, I'll revive him off of Sanctuary to search the 3rd Sovereignty. And that just gives me a plethora of fairies. The game plan, if you can't drop Herald Christia, the next game plan is to summon Ouroboros, rip a card out of your opponent's hand, get information, and make sure that you end on 5 to 6 fairies. You want to make sure that your opponent cannot have more cards in their hand than you do fairies. The game plan is to have the same exact amount of fairies in your hand as they do cards in their hand. So even if you can't kill them, you negate every card in their hand, and your grind game is strong. This deck is an insane grind game, especially in tandem with Ritual Sanctuary. Like I said, I can OTK whenever I wanted to. And then we also have 1 Archlord Christia to sum up the monsters. Christia is very important in this list. It's my go-to. What I noticed was every time I summon Herald Christia, I found myself negating 1 to 2 cards, maximum 2. Hardly ever negated 3, but I would normally have 4 to 5 fairies with Herald Christia. But I was realizing just by summoning Christia, there's so many fairies that I don't have to waste for negations, and I can use those for my follow-ups, my contingency plan, you know, just make sure that I can go aggro whenever I need to. So yeah, Christia is insane, this format. Orcas, unless they play like Widow Anchor and Permanents, don't even have a way to out this, because essentially the only cards you negate are the cards that threaten Christia. You don't negate anything else. You don't negate like For example, if your opponent normal summons Scrap Recycler, you don't negate that. If they normal summon Ibly, and or like if they normal summon, for example, like I don't know, like a Candina or something like that. Basically, if it doesn't threaten Christia, you don't negate it. You let them play Solitaire because they can't special summon, and that's it for the monster count. Next up for spells, this is the spell I'm talking about. So this is 1,000 times better than Call by the Grave, in my personal opinion, and also particularly for this list, the way it works. What Instant Fusion is something that Called by the Grave just cannot be. Even though Called by the Grave is good to just set and just, it's okay. Like if you set it and it's like, oh, it's cute, it's like a little trap. And I'm not bashing the card saying it's bad, but what Instant Fusion is it's a Called by the Grave that also plays around Impermanence. That's the thing, because you summon either Millenniumized Restrict for hand traps, or if you're playing a deck and you're cognizant that they have Impermanence, which Impermanence doesn't even hurt this deck, so I never summon it, but you summon Mud Dragon of the Swamp, and you just use his effect, Declare Light, and all your lights can't be targeted. It also helps going second when you have Instant Fusion against Sky Strikers, because you'll summon Mud Dragon and you would call Light, so you either bait a Widow Anchor, or if they don't Widow it, which most people don't understand what's going to happen, you start summoning Herald and you go into your stick chair plays and stuff like that. And what happens is they can't chain Anchor, and they basically can't chain Effect Veiler and Impermanent, so they have to have Ash and Ogre. And Ash does very little to this deck. Ogre does nothing to this deck. The only hand trap that could possibly hurt is Droll, but if Droll was really in the format and it was running rampant and people were playing it like crazy, I'd play all 6 of these just so that people would like try to use Droll on me and lose anyways. But yeah, Instant Fusion is insane. Like I said, it plays around hand traps. Sometimes when I know what I'm playing against and I know how their deck works, I'll eat an Ash and I won't use the Millenniumize on the Ash. I'll wait to see if they have the Ogre from my Ritual Sanctuary, discard it for cost, and then I'll use it on that. So sometimes I let a card get Ash because my entire deck can be Ash Blossom. Like I had it before where like I normal Geldagra and legitimately uses effect to dump Herald of the Arclight. My opponent Ash Blossom that. I was like, wow. Well, yeah, Instant Fusion is definitely a very universal spell. You can go into Exciton Knight going second if you have Instant Fusion in a level 4. Exciton Knight baits multiple interruptions. You summon him, activate his effect. They chain an effect to negate him. You can chain his effect again on himself once per chain. Read the card. And then they have to have a third negate. Otherwise, if they only have... they have to have a second negate. Otherwise, if they only have that one negate, Exciton nukes their board. But either way, it just lets you burn through negations and keep playing. So yeah, it helps her going second game. It's pretty insane. Even summoning Millenniumized Restrict, if they have negators on board, like cards like Titan, yeah, it just really helps. The most important spell in my deck is Dawn of the Herald. Hands down, I can't really play Yu-Gi-Oh! Without it, so I'm very careful with my Desires plays whenever I'm playing Desires. I never Desires until I've gotten one of these out of my deck, unless it's absolutely the only card that I have that can start me up. And then I also played 4 copies of Las Vegas. This time, I didn't have space to side deck the Terraforming because this helps me to get to Mystic Mine, so I decided to main deck it. So this main deck went from 41 cards to 44 because I added in the 3 copies of Instant Fusion and didn't take anything out. And then next up, I have 3 pre-preparation of Rites. My favorite spell in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! It's freaking insane, you guys. It's a +1 as well as a plethora of all your other cards. This deck has a ton of +1s, a couple of +2 interactions. You can go +3 off of your stick chair. If you revive Scepter off of Sanctuary, you go +3. You end up basically drawing 3 cards and searching 3 times, and it's just really insane what you can do. But yeah, deck's really incredible. This deck is very fast-paced. It's not a slow deck. It's not sucky going second. It doesn't suck at all. Everything that people say about this deck is incorrect. But 3 copies of pre-prep is just, it's insane, you guys. This deck has, every card is pretty much Ash Blossomable. Nobody knows the Herald matchup. There's no Herald Wizard or Guru that just knows how to counter this deck, what to hand trap. I've never played someone who hand trapped the correct card. I'll even activate pre-prep first just to bait an Ash, knowing that I already have the cards I need. So there's no correct card to Ash because everything can be Ash. The only thing that can hurt the most is when you discard for cost for Sanctuary and they have a hand trap. But that's where I use the Millenniumize for that play. So I'll save Millenniumize, like if they Ash a prep, which people do that all the time. They Ash prep, they Ash Manju. I'll wait, use the discard for cost for Sanctuary to see if they have another hand trap. Then I'll use Millenniumize. And if not, I'm totally fine with it. And then next up, we have 3 copies of Preparation of Rites. Another really good combo piece. Helps you going second. People will negate your ritual spell. You will activate this and add it back anyways. And it's not once per turn, so it's insane. We have 3 copies of Extra Foolish Burial. Good. This also helps you going second because it just pops cards. It pops Floodgates, like there can only be one. It forces out, it can kill multi-roll. It also forces out negations whether they like it or not, because if they don't negate it, you're going to pop the card. So yeah. Again, the deck does not suck going second. Everybody that says that, I'm always like, dude, you don't even play Herald. You're saying that about my deck and you don't even play it. So 3 Extra Foolish Burial. insane card. It's just like prep and pre-prep. It searches out all your combo pieces. Like I said, everything is like Herald, Benton, the ritual spell, and then cards that either search or draw those combo pieces. We played 3 Pot of Desires, Go Hard or Go Home, and we also played 3 copies of Celestial Observatory, and that is my main deck. You have 6 draw spells. I cut the upstart because I just was like, you know what, screw it. Well, matter of fact, the deck list, it's actually 43 cards. No, it is 44. My bad, it's 44. The upstart became a terraforming. But yeah, that's the main deck, you guys. I've done plenty of test hands. I know people keep saying, why don't you have duels with this deck? And I'm like, Jesus, I have more duels with Herald than I have with any deck. You guys, just please do me a favor. Before you ask or think that I don't have something, check on my channel first before you tell me you haven't done this, because I probably have and you just weren't willing to do the research and just type it in and search it. But I have a ton of duels with Herald. I have more duels with Herald than I have with any deck on my channel, literally. I have so much live content with Herald, it's crazy. I don't know why people keep saying you don't have any content with Herald, you don't have any. I'm like, dude, yes I do. I have more duels and more profile with Herald than any other deck. So I'll show you guys my extra deck and then I'll get into the side. So we played 3 copies of Herald of the Arclight. And I also, I know that this is a good card and I really wanted to play that too, but my extra deck changed a lot, so I cut this down to 1. Do I miss it? Not really, because the Sky Strikers provide spot removal where this would be lacking. It pops a card, but I have Jammy Waves and Afterburners and Widow Anchors to do that as well. And then we have Mud Dragon of the Swamp and also Millennium Eyes Restrict for other fusion targets. These are really good cards going first or second. That's what that I enjoy, the multi-purpose, very flexible and versatile plays that you can do with these cards. Exciton Knight is still a card, you guys. We have 1 Hippo Shinogen, we have Phoenix and Cerebus, and also Decode. I sold my Borosword to somebody that plays at the locals. Well, actually, I traded it to him. I traded it to him for quite a few cards. So yeah, Borosword was in my list. And what happened was where the Borosword was, the Borosword that I played with it for locals, and after that I got rid of it. So there is a card in here that I didn't have, and it's the Dugaris. I've always proxied this card. I've always proxied Dugaris because I never had one. So I didn't get to play this today, but this is a part of my extra deck from henceforth, because there's a lot of plays you can do with it in this deck. It also allows you to do OTK plays without Borosword, because you can actually put Chrysia to 5600. The fact that you can play through so many hand traps, your opponent can try to hand trap you to Oblivion. If you have an Instant Fusion and a Mud Dragon and a normal summon, you can just draw 2 cards, and you can, there's so many good cards in this deck. Drawing 2 after you've resolved Desires and, Celestial Observatory and Stick Chair combo, like, you just keep digging. Like, this card's really, really good. It's a great rank 4. It's really good in this deck. We have the Star Seraph targets going first and going second. When I go second against Thunder, I just summon the Ouroboros instead, so I can bounce their crap. And also, ripping cards out of your opponent's hand is very gratifying. And then for the rest of the rank 4s, I play 1 Dweller and 1 Exciton Knight. The reason why Dweller's here is so that when you play Draco and Orcus and decks of that nature and Salamangreats, you don't waste 1,000 fairies on them. You just Dweller them. And so when you have Herald, Dweller, Chrysia, it's like one of the strongest boards ever against Orcus, Salamangreats, and Dracos. Because Dracos can't do anything when they're under a Dweller. Even if they normal Amano Iwado, like if they normal summon Amano Iwado, it doesn't matter. Your cards can't activate Engrave, so you can't pop anything at all. You can't pop Jack. And then we have Exciton Knight, good going second. An exceptional card. It's just really powerful. And then, and I don't know why Exciton's not seeing more competitive play, but Exciton's really nice. Now for my crazy side deck. On my side deck, the 3 Mystic Minds. I think Mystic Mind has 0 bad matchups. All the decks that main deck, back row removal, Herald negates that stuff. Herald negates it, okay? There is no Twin Twisters to out the Mystic Mind. Herald negates. Like, you guys don't understand. Herald Mystic Mind is probably, like, the most powerful lockdown in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Like, legitimately, everything that can't be activated, that you can activate, because, like, Mystic Mind stops the majority of monster effects and this, that, and the third. Anything that you can activate outside of what Mystic Mind stops, Herald negates that. So you pretty much cover all the monsters, and you just negate all the spells and traps with Herald. It's just so insane. It's a powerful lock, and if they convert to 1 monster and then go in phase, Mystic Mind dies, you kill them. They have to sacrifice a turn just to play around it, because they can't activate Twin. They can't do it. Herald negates, and he's not once per turn, and he opens chains on himself. And if you think I'm not gonna have 3 or 4 fairies, you're incorrect. So we have 3 Mystic Minds. Really helps against Thunder, because I'll literally against pure Thunder, like, I'll legit just drop a Mystic Mind and be like, pass. Like, I'll do that. If I have to do it, I'll do it until I draw into my Widow Anchors. I have 3 copies of Engage. Like I said, I smoke screened. I did this. It's a good old fashioned classic, and traditional tactic, and it's very effective. Smoke screening is so unorthodox. No one ever anticipates you're going to smoke screen into an entirely different deck. So yeah, 3 engage helps me out a lot. You draw a lot of cards with it. And also, it searches out a very powerful protection for your turn 1 plays. If people still make you go first, you have multi-roll. Multi-roll is insane. It's basically a better call by the grave because now every spell I activate it, you can't do anything to it. What I do is I multi-roll away my Gale Dogra if I can't get rid of it so that he's not that tiny monster they can just try to attack into. So yeah, multi-roll is insane. One of the bigger inspirations for the Sky Strikers is multi-roll and, Mystic Mine, just cards that don't let you negate anything. And then I played the Triple Widow because Colossus can hurt this deck. I also think Widow is exceptional against Orcus, just taking the Dingirsu or taking the Orcus Link, which forces out the Crescendo. Also taking the Salamander Link, turns off the counter traps. In the Sky Strikers matchup, it's not as great, but, it's still a really good card in general. I like Widow. And then I played 1 Afterburner, 1 Jamming Waves, and 1 Hornet Drones for more utility cards. So you have pretty much, 7 targets for the engage. And then I played the 1-set rotation to give me 5 copies of Mystic Mine because I already made Terraforming. And the only link I had space for was the one of Kagari. I was thinking about just doing Hayate so that I can just go Mystic Mine, Hayate, and just keep poking and keep poking. But extra deck was tight, side deck was tight, main deck was tight. And that is my deck profile, you guys. I really hope that you enjoyed it. I love this deck to pieces. It's my favorite deck, like I said. And there's no way that this deck cannot be innovated, pretty much. Like, you can play a lot of different variants of Heralds. Like, you'd be surprised what you can play this deck with and what's splashable. Because the way I see it, any light fairy in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Can be Herald support, indirect or direct. Because Ben 10 searches them all. And every time you summon Herald, it's like an FTK. You get to search any light fairy in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! So imagine how many light fairies exist. You can search any of them. That's where all my variations come from. So thank you guys so much for watching my deck profile. I really appreciate you guys for tuning into this and, taking time out of your day. I'm getting ready to go to sleep because I am burnt out and exhausted. And it's like, man, it's been a really long day. Like, I didn't even want to do this profile, but I knew I wasn't going to feel like doing it when I woke up. So I figured might as well knock it out before I go to sleep. So, again, God bless you guys. Make good choices. Don't hurt your brain cells. Stay tuned for future content. And you folks have a beautiful day, all right? Peace.